Testimony is all done. Both sides have rested. It was only about a half day today in court, and the lawyers quibbled over a couple of the jury instructions, but boy, Lord have mercy, it was a fucking bloodbath. Camille Vasquez absolutely dog-walked Amber Heard on cross-examination today. It was a truncated version of what she gave during the defense's case in chief, but it left the jury just with a perception of the case. I don't think anybody was really, changed their mind by this. All it did was just reinforce Amber Heard's a fucking liar, dude. Okay? That was the entire theme of the day. But that was the main event. That was the last thing that the jury saw before they come back for closing arguments and all the rigmarole that will be tomorrow. I'll give you a nice little rundown of what to expect tomorrow. But as of right now, we got to run back the final day of testimony. So it started the day with the completion of Johnny Depp's rebuttal. Okay? His side's rebuttal. And it wasn't the flight attendant. I don't know what happened to her. Maybe she couldn't get flued out in time, but it was an orthopedic surgeon who testified not to what specifically happened to Johnny's finger in Australia, okay? He just ruled out the insane idea that Johnny lost his finger in amidst smashing this very real, very legitimate antique phone that was on the wall, okay, at some form or fashion. The man lost the tip of his finger by smashing an antique phone into the wall. He could definitely say that didn't happen because there was no corresponding injuries, and the fact of the matter is, and this was a good point that he brought up, and I think that this, Johnny Depp's experts did a really, really, really good job, and incidentally, so did Amber Heard's on rebuttal. They did a really good job of using, real practical callback techniques. Okay, Dr. Gilbert here, he gave the description that's no, Johnny couldn't have possibly lost his finger by smashing a phone against the wall because there was no other injuries on his knuckles because, hey, if you're going to be smashing into a wall repeatedly until it just turns to dust and it was so scary. If that would have happened, yeah, there would have been little boxer's fractures, micro fractures on his fist as well, because when you're holding a phone, okay, you got to grip it, okay? And there would also be other tissue damage there as well, and for it to only just be, the injury to be sustained merely on the index finger, the middle finger, that doesn't line up, okay? And it's more of an injury, right? Because as you can see, he had the x-ray to review. It was just the end bone, the final phalanx in your middle finger there, that was all smashed up, okay? And then also seeing the other pictures that were there as well. He said that, yeah, no, an angular attack from something coming in from the side doesn't necessarily have to cause any damage to the nail bed itself if it comes in on a certain angle, okay, and a bottle breaks off because, oh my god, the bottle exploded. So therefore, there would have been 100,000 million pieces of the bottle. No, if anybody's ever dropped a jar, a cup, or glass before, knows that glass, okay, of a certain density is going to break in large, weird-looking shapes, okay? Because the structural integrity of a mass-produced bottle is not going to be uniform, okay? And it's not going to break like the movies with fucking sugar glass, where if you just drop something like the fucking coffee cup at the end of Usual Suspects, okay? That's what it's going to break like. It's not going to break like the fucking Watchmen pane of glass where, what's his name? The Joker, not the Joker, the comedian gets thrown through the window, okay? In a very stylized fashion. It's going to break in large, noticeable pieces. Therefore, because they're such big pieces, yeah, could he have just one injury right there and not to anything else? Of course, okay, he's pulling his hand away and then he gets cut by one of the bigger pieces that flies up. Totally fucking legitimate. He couldn't say that for certain because he wasn't there. There's no video to review to, line up with everything else, okay? But what he could definitely rule out was a whole bunch of scenarios, like a hand flat on a bar counter and then a bottle just being dropped down directly on it, like Amber Heard's expert would say. Or also trying to tunnel through a wall using his fist and a fucking phone. That was never going to happen. So that's what that dude came up there and he closed out Johnny Depp's rebuttal. And then directly right after that, we got into cross-examination of Julian Ackerts. He was rebutting the testimony of Norbert from yesterday. Norbert, who went over all of the photographs that were provided from Amber Heard's side, all of the color-corrected ones as well, and then he just said, oh yeah, no, the data, you can make a lot of assumptions from the data, but the most powerful thing, and the only thing that might stick out for the jury, because this dude was totally forgettable, everybody's just going to remember what happened at the end of the day, so just to be truncated on this, he was shown two identical pictures with just a little bit of color correction that have identical data on them. The only thing that's different is just the very easy editable title that's on there. Outside of that, exactly the same thing, okay? And his excuse to all of this stuff was, oh, well, I seen certain pictures that Brian Neumeister went over, and outside of that, I don't. Everything that I seen, you could find the original images if you just look at different data, which he wasn't allowed to look at. It's all fine, don't worry about it. Yeah, like a line from his actual testimony, based on the metadata that I've reviewed of a specific photographs I've reviewed, I can confirm that those are authentic original photographs for the one that Neumeister identified. Yeah, again, great. And then Wayne Dennison's like, can you tell the difference between those two identical pictures? Oh, the names are different. Okay, thanks, great. But now the jury got to see it again, reinforcing the lies that Amber Heard has been putting before the court. And just like, no, don't believe your lying eyes. Believe me, the most honest person on earth, and the only honest person on earth, this bitch. But speaking of this bitch, Dr. Karen was back up on the stand to make listen, why? Fucking why? One of the least likable people that you could have possibly brought up. There it is, right before. No, I take that back. The second most unlikable person on earth that you brought up before the most unlikable person on earth, just to reinforce her activist diagnosis that Amber Heard, who has been sitting there in the courtroom reliving theoretically the most traumatic moments of her life over and over and over again for 6 weeks, and then, you know what, hey, since the start of the case, 7 weeks in total, has never once had a panic attack, never once had the vapors or any sort of an expression that this is far too traumatic for her to handle at any point. Never ever once did she ever express any of those hair triggers, because I need to have special instances whenever we're doing an action scene on a film, and I need proper care, and I need special actions to be taken in order to make me comfortable. Yet you're in the courtroom, you're not expressing a single fucking emotion unless there's something that you don't like, then you just act out like a fucking child. But no, she definitely has PTSD because Dr. Curry's retarded and doesn't know that all of my checklists, they're great and wonderful and they're fantastic. Okay, Dr. Curry's retarded. I didn't do anything wrong. That's all she was saying. Okay, as for Dr. Curry yesterday, it's like, no, I'm not going to impugn Dr. Hughes. She just misapplied and didn't choose the correct tests to run for this situation. And her diagnosis is we disagree on, okay? And this is exactly how she misused and what the proper use for some of these checklists are. And it's inappropriate, and the numbers don't really back up your diagnosis of PTSD. Whereas Dr. Karen, with that look on her face throughout the entire time that she was up there, was just like, no, Dr. Curry doesn't know what she's talking about, and I use checklists, and they're all great and wonderful. And Dennison, once again, came up there and did the cross-examination on her, and then just walked her through. Okay, cool, so you think that you're the smartest person to have ever done psychology ever. Great, wonderful, fantastic. So, can we go to the first page of some of these tests that are here? And can we just look at the instructions and how you're actually supposed to be filling this stuff out, okay? And how you didn't follow regular protocol, okay? You didn't follow standardized guidelines, but instead, no, you can go ahead and you can tell us how you filled everything out, and everybody, instead of knowing that you're going to be presenting these findings for review to a court for somebody else to look over, no, you just have 80 pages of stuff that you just filled out, and people should just be smart enough to connect whatever the fuck you wrote in your notes to the standardized tests. Oh, but that's not for research purposes. Okay, great, but what about those other tests that you were running again that are just not appropriate for the situations that you're just trying to go through, okay? And if she couldn't, okay, something else that she brought up as well. Oh yeah, no, it was a collaborative effort that Amber and I went through one of these checklists. Okay, so you just walked her through it in order to get that bought and paid for PTSD diagnosis. Great. Wonderful, fantastic. And apparently from the people that were inside the courtroom, her testimony, it just landed with a thud. Nobody gave a fuck, okay? And she just comes across as totally unlikable. Well, if you guys remember last week when I was up here, I told you, she has never gone a day in her life without asking to speak to somebody's manager. She's terrible, and if I never, ever, ever see her ever again in my life, it'll be too soon. And then the final witness in the case popped up on the stand, and I don't know, she's like an android trying to project emotions. It's like, this is what regular people think, and this is what regular people say. And remember, guys, it was terrible. The headline is misleading. Not even once did she ever threatened to actually cry. She made a lot of and then a moment later she would just be back to being her regular old spastic stone cold self. But yes, it says Amber Heard bursts into tears on stand because, I don't know, maybe she received a DM or something of somebody saying that they want to put her baby in a microwave. That's it, okay? But outside of that, yeah, remember, she's a newborn mother. And seemingly throughout the entire trial, she only made a couple of references to her kid. She doesn't really care that much because she didn't actually give birth to the kid. It's just an embryo and fucking sperm cell that was implanted in somebody else. It was a fucking surrogate delivery. So it's a vanity child, if we're being completely fair and honest, because she's a fucking textbook narcissist, okay? And she got exposed for that. Oh, but more on that in a moment. Amber Heard is called to the stand for a rebuttal counterclaim because she demanded, she needed to have the last word, okay? You could see this coming from a mile away because it was leaked, and, you know, it was leaked from her team, so you could take that with a bucket full of salt, which is exactly what was created from the defense table after her cross-examination. But, yeah, no, they leaked it out that, oh, yeah, Amber Heard is going to be called back to the stand on rebuttal, even though we have like a fucking hour left, and they still left time on the table, but they just did. It's like, oh, cool, you emulated our case. Thanks, retard. But she started off, at least she got a better, direct examiner, okay? Rottenborn, who on her team is definitely 100% the best lawyer that's there. The dude is sharp. He's slimy as a jackfish in a warm lake, okay? But the dude is good at his job, okay? You were shopping for her legal team like she did at the Dollar General. He's the best prize that you could get, 100%, okay? The Aquaman actress. Oh, she's no longer a star? A lot of people were calling her the star, okay? She's like the, fourth bill on there, anyways. Actress, tearfully, there was no tears at all. Even though, once again, it was just another one of those that everybody look at me because I received so many threats, even though I'm not supposed to be looking at social media or posting on it or paying attention to any of that stuff at all whatsoever. Bringing it up to the jury, you absolute mong. By saying that, oh, everybody online thinks that I'm lying and stupid and they're calling me out on my obvious bullshit. Putting that in the jury's mind. Way to go. I'm harassed, humiliated, and threatened every single day. Even just walking into this courtroom, sitting here in front of the world, having the worst parts of my life, things I've lived through, used to humiliate me. Yeah, like your fucking lies. Anyways, more on that in a moment. People want to kill me. I doubt it. People just want you to go away. Like you're saying for Johnny Depp, okay? But it's obvious she's paying attention to what's going on out there because, one of the most famous things that she said during her direct examination was, oh my god, Johnny Depp did a cavity search on me and there was a damage and it looked like the trailer was had a bomb blow off in it at Hicksville and it was a terrible situation, and then I just woke up the next morning and I went outside and then had to take my dog to the vet because he stepped on a bee. You can see her, one earring right there. I think this was from a couple of days ago, right? Oh, May 25th. Okay, so this would have, she was wearing the Colonel Sanders getup, so this was from a couple of days ago. She's wearing an earring that looks an awful lot like, a certain insect. She's paying attention to this stuff, okay? As opposed to her case, you know what, maybe, trying to pay attention to how she's being received. No, she's just plowing straight forward with her narrative that everybody is against me. Everybody is a liar except for me. What a retard. That is the last thing that the jury is going to hear. Everybody else in the entire world, you guys have wasted your time. You guys have sacrificed 7 weeks of your life because you could have just decided this to begin with, okay? I am the only true person to have ever existed. Jesus Christ has nothing on Amber Heard, okay? She is the most honest person to have ever lived. You'd regret that. Heard told jurors that people threaten her every day and even outside the courthouse, even though we've seen multiple times over. And there's constant posts out there of them arriving, okay, Johnny Depp and her arriving to the courthouse and then leaving every day. What does Amber Heard's reception sound like? Kind of like crickets and maybe like a dull boo. That's about outside. And meanwhile, Johnny Depp is constantly greeted like a fucking rock star everywhere he goes. And he's magnanimous when he shows up. There's a marked difference if you watch some of those clips that are out there. Amber Heard, oh my god, always constantly playing up her fucking role like she's just this beaten woman, and I don't know, she needs to go out of her way to try to ignore the bailiffs that are out there, okay? Just saying like, hi. And it's like, okay, listen, they're gonna take out their fucking nightsticks, and you know, another one's not gonna cuff you and fucking beat you about the head, even though they probably would like to. Meanwhile, Johnny shows up. He's got the adoring fans just fucking yelling and screaming in the background from across the street, from across the city, from across the country. Everybody is yelling and screaming for him, and then he takes the time to shake the hands, pat the bailiffs on the shoulder, say good morning to them, make a little small talk in exchange. There is a marked difference, okay? And Amber Heard, if she's paying attention to all the negative stuff that's out there, maybe you should also pay attention to some of the positive stuff and maybe try to mimic something that would make you seem like a human being and not just a robotic lie generator. But you don't get it. And you're never going to get it. You're going to be hit by this jury verdict like it's a fucking semi-truck, okay? You're going to be the only person in the world not seeing this coming. Oh well, sucks to suck, I guess. People want to put my baby in the microwave. It's like, oh, at least the kid would get a warm embrace for once. Johnny promised me that if I ever left him, he'd make me think of him every single day that I live. I doubt it. He's like, just leave me alone. And she's like, ooh, that's a good line. I'm going to co-opt it. Heard said that she's forced to relive the trauma every day. No, it's just been 7 weeks. Okay, cool. And you're the one two years after the TRO, which it just totally fucking made up and tipped off TMZ for. No, you're the one who continues to just drag this out. You could have just amicably split from this divorce in 2016, but instead, realizing that you didn't quite kneecap Johnny Depp's career in 2016, you decided to work alongside the ACLU to fucking tarnish and destroy the man's career at the end of 2018, to just happen to coincide a couple of days before Aquaman, your Star is Born moment. Meanwhile, that star has fizzled and then just become this gaping black hole, and I'm not talking about the one that's also between your legs. But yeah, no, she would continue to fucking drone on for the beginning of her beginning of her direct, because we'll get to the cross here in a moment. And it was ruthless. It was ruthless, like Amber. Okay, I am forced to relive this trauma every day in the harassment, humiliation, the campaign against me. What campaign? Your actions speak for themselves. That's echoed every single day on social media. You're not supposed to be looking at that. Okay, thanks for that admission, dummy. And now in front of the cameras in this courtroom, every single day, I relieve myself on beds. Oh, I'm sorry. Relive the trauma. When asked how the trial has affected her life, she tearfully, there was no tears detected. Okay, that's how close she got to tears. That's about it. That's literally about it. Okay, no tears detected, because she's a terrible actress. Just don't believe me? Take the word of her fucking coach. I received hundreds of death threats regularly, daily. That's nice. Thousands since this trial has started. People mocking my testimony. It's mock-worthy, though, so I don't know. Don't take it too seriously. The most humiliating thing that I've ever had to go through in my life. I hope no one ever has to go through something like this. You won't have to if you don't make up obvious fucking lies and continue to run with them over and over again. She said she suffers panic attacks. Again, 7 weeks. Haven't even seen the faintest whiff of one, but yeah, no, you can go ahead and continue to dig yourself into a ditch and do us all a favor and buy a rake and cover yourself up since they're split from Depp. She says Oh yeah, right. She has unspoken rules about how to approach her and touch her so that she's not triggered. Yeah, you see that again, once again, in the courtroom as well. Whenever she arrives, her team, who's paid to be there, just flocks towards her. Okay, and again, I don't see how any of these are enforced on camera, which her side really loves to point out. I don't see any of those enforced, okay? And if they need to be so obvious because of my legitimate PTSD, they're doing a pretty shitty job. I don't know. Bird then looks directly at Johnny, who, keeps his head down, as he has the entire time, and says the actor has, taken enough of her voice. Yeah, that's nice. Johnny has taken enough of my voice. I have the right to tell my story. You have the right to tell a story. That's what you're doing right now. Unfortunately for you, there's so many plot holes in it. But I have the right to my voice and my name. He took it long enough. Wow. Once again, just projecting what you're doing to the man that you're accusing. This is just textbook I've lied, I've been caught behavior. And now with her saying, I just want Johnny to go away, just leave, okay? I just wanted to get away with my lie, and I hope nobody else would have taken it as seriously and you did. Why didn't you just roll over and fucking die so I could get away with my fucking cheap shit and continue to have a career while you just die alone? That's what she was hoping for. But unfortunately for her, she ran into Camille Vasquez. Let's get into this absolute fucking dog walking. You didn't expect Kate Moss to testify, did you? Your lies have been exposed to the world. Johnny Depp's lawyer, Camille Vasquez, eviscerates Amber Heard's for perjury and tipping off paparazzi. Yep, she dropped all of that stuff in court today in cross-examination. The final thing, there was just this little anemic attempt to try to resuscitate any credibility because she needed the last word, and she needed it couched in the fact that, yes, that was the last thing that the jury was going to hear, but they had already tuned out at that point. Camille had already fucking taken her to the park and let her poop in an appropriate place. Amber Heard was subjected to a brutal cross-examination. Oh, it was. I'm going to be watching it back later, maybe with a bottle of lotion. Anyways, by Depp's lawyer, Camille Vasquez, who previously interrogated the actress during the attorney and turned the attorney into a legal star. Yeah, no. Honestly, she's going to be partner at her law firm after this. She's just an associate right now. Vasquez asked Heard Thursday, your lies have been exposed to the world multiple times. Heard responded, I lied about nothing. And you're going to see some of the funny faces that Amber Heard was pulling during this. And again, the entire tone of this cross-examination right here was totally different than the other one during the direct examination. Okay, during her case in chief, Camille Vasquez, like I said, she's been on this case since at least, if not before, the UK trial. Okay, so she's been working with, same with every other lawyer that's on Johnny Depp's team. They've been working together, okay? They've created some sort of a little camaraderie since at least 2020, okay? If not further back, if not before that, as opposed to the other side, which changes law offices as often as she changes her drawers. This was Camille's final opportunity to just take off the gloves. It's like, all right, you wanted to put her on the stand. You're just going to give me one more opportunity to fucking put her on blast, so congratulations, you chose wrong. Like, it just sounded like somebody who was just tired of hearing the same fucking lying nonsense over and over and over again. She has her receipts. You just wanted to be combative. That's all right. I got the evidence here. Vasquez asked, when you told this jury you punched Mr. Depp because you thought of Mr. Depp pushing Kate Moss down the stairs, you didn't expect Miss Moss to testify that ever happened. Heard replied, incorrect. I knew how many people would come out of the woodwork to support Johnny. Unbelievable, right? You're accusing one of the world's most famous supermodels of all fucking time, okay? Oh, she was just going to just come to the support of Johnny Depp, okay? This was a former flame who was just big mad that I sucked his dick later. Sure thing. Everybody who was around in the 90s and the early aughts knew that rumor. Really? No, because this is the first time that was brought up, and you were the one to bring it up, really. I had heard that rumor from multiple people. Of course, that's what flashed through my head when my violent husband not only swung for me, but all of a sudden swung for my sister. That's a different recounting of events. I don't know whose recitation of the staircase incident that is, but I don't know. Maybe that's somebody's. Put everybody's name in a hat and just fucking draw, and one of them, right? Of course I thought of that. I did not expect her to show up. Oh, yeah, no, I did not expect her to show up or expect her to show up. It did not matter. It did not change what I thought on that stairs when I thought he was going to kill my sister. And if you would have let Jennifer Howell's testimony in, you would have seen that there was, somebody was going to get pushed down that stairs, and the pusher and the pushee might have been two completely different people. But anyways, Heard was pressed about why so many people came out to testify for Depp. Yeah, exactly. And how few showed up that you didn't have to pay for that would come out and testify for you. Well, you got your sister and nobody else. All old video depositions from years ago. But yeah, no, you've got the truth on your side. That's why so many people can corroborate it. And for good reason. That's why they didn't show up in person. Well, mostly because they severed ties with you years ago for just reasons that they didn't want to get into. Probably because they were similarly just discarded after they ran out their usefulness. She's a terrible person. She said, I know many people will come out and say whatever for him. That's his power. That's why I wrote that op-ed. Because it was, now, if it was ever a question as to who the op-ed was written about, right there, because she was getting so heated, her story started to slip a little bit. And then, once again, just exposing the fact that, I thought about this plan a lot, and my easy way to explain away anything, they're all just hired by him, therefore they'll just say whatever is necessary in order to curry good favor. But then that also works the exact same way for you, Amber, because the only people who showed up were the people who you paid to show up, okay? And everybody, gave glowing evidence on your behalf, even though they kind of lacked the work and the receipts to it. Once again, it's just projection. It's pure projection. Everything that happened in this situation, everything that Amber Heard claims, she was the perpetrator. But anyways, that's why I wrote that op-ed. It was a very powerful man, and people love currying favor with powerful men. Is that why you decided to hitch your wagon to him? Because your career was going nowhere at the speed of smell, and you decided, I could probably fuck that guy. Vasquez turned to the question of whether Heard and her legal team tipped off TMZ about her appearing at court on May 2016 to get a restraining order against Depp. Heard said she had nothing to do with the press being there and had no idea they would be outside. Asked if she was not shocked at all to see the photographers outside, Heard said incorrect. Vasquez said, you alerted TMZ to the filing. Heard said, no, I did not. She denied the tip came from the legal team and said, what survivor of domestic violence wants that? Oh, one who wants the fabricated story in the press. That one. Okay. Thought I'd clear that up for you in case you missed out on that subcontext. Oh yeah, and another thing, Dr. Karen, just going back to her for a second, she also said that Amber Heard, she wasn't faking any of her symptoms, even though Dr. Curry also said that Amber Heard on her test scored higher than 98% of other people when it comes to faking their symptoms. Amber Heard, when she was in the company in the care of Dr. Karen, she presented as very nuanced and very even-keeled, and then moments later would just go out to spaz out in the witness box. But yeah, no, very, very nuanced reactions here. Anyways, Vasquez accused Heard of editing out a part of the video when she was snickering before sending it to TMZ. Yeah, exactly what Morgan Tremaine, formerly of TMZ, said yesterday. Vasquez said, you testified you haven't been smirking. You were smirking on that video. Heard said, everyone can watch that video and determine whether you think it's funny to me. Yeah, no, if they could see the entirety of the video that's online in multiple forms and fashions that have also been copyright claimed and taken down by the copyright holder, TMZ. And how do they acquire? Thanks to the testimony yesterday of Morgan Tremaine, we learn how TMZ comes to acquire the copyright. Either it is given to them by the source or take the footage themselves. So, which of those two things do you think TMZ did? I only seen two people in there, and it only came from Amber Heard's camera. And that's what she alleges, so I'll let you connect the dots. Oh, and another ludicrous thing Amber also said during that time, I haven't been smirking and smiling during this entire court proceeding. I've pointed out recently where she just started to sped out a couple of times at the defense table. So she just lied, and everybody in the court fucking knew it, okay? But once again, she's the smartest person. She's the most honest person to have ever lived. So you just have to sit there and listen to her story. As the testimony went on, Vasquez became short with Heard. Yeah, no, this is where it's like, okay, cool. We were just going to do MMA 4-ounce gloves, okay? But now they're just coming off and you're getting the fucking plaster, bitch, for the first time in your life. And there ain't no stairs in sight. At one point, oh yes, Vasquez says there is no pending question, so I'd appreciate that you wouldn't make an argument to the jury. Oh yeah, she was just going off, and Amber Heard was just proselytizing to the jury, which was just absolutely glazed over at this time. It's like, this bitch is nuts. And Camille is, by multiple people that were in the courtroom, also stated Camille's probably, outside of Johnny, the most popular figure in the courtroom for very obvious reasons. Okay, she's very good at her job, and well, she isn't ugly. Let's go with that. Heard protested, I thought you asked me about it. Vasquez responded, I didn't ask you anything. Which is just a great way to twist the knife. It's like everybody for the past, 36 years of Amber Heard's life has always been paying attention to her. But then, yeah, no, she just goes off on this tangent and it's like, I didn't ask you a fucking question. You're responding to my questions right now. I thought you asked me about it. And it's like, I didn't ask you anything. Anyways, next question, disregard everything that bitch just said. Vasquez turned to the events at the trailer park in Hicksville, California. This was the most absurd thing I have ever seen in my fucking life. I can't believe she actually said this. I was listening to this at the time. I was watching the testimony, and it's like, she actually said this. When Heard claimed that Depp performed a cavity search on her, yes, this is back at Hicksville Trailer Palace, by the way, the lawyer asked the witness if it was correct that her friend Rocky Pennington didn't see Depp grab the wrist of a woman who was cuddling up to Heard. In response, Heard said it was not sure what part of the night he saw. This was about Morgan Knight, the owner and operator of Hicksville Trailer Palace. You know, the guy who was working there that night to assess the damage afterwards and all that stuff. Speaking of Knight, Heard said, I'm not sure who that guy was. I know a lot of people have come out of the woodwork. Okay, she added, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things to be involved with the Johnny Depp show. Thanks for putting a proper moniker on this, you dummy. She said that she didn't know who Morgan Knight was. He wasn't there that night. What? You think somebody who had no interest in the trial at all whatsoever, okay, was contacted by the attorney? He hadn't been listening to any of the stuff in this fucking trial so far. He made out this incredible fucking story that involved multiple people. He had a couple of former housekeepers contact him about that situation that night because from 9 years ago, okay, you had 2 independent innkeepers message him saying that the Hicksville Trailer Palace, you guys remember the night Johnny Depp was there, they're bringing up that incident and we have a totally different recollection of that tale. Once again, Morgan Knight is lying. He wasn't even there that night. We're not even sure if he's a real person, according to Amber Heard. What? Did you think that this fucking demand for you to come back into the witness box was gonna work out for you? You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Vasquez asked, in Hicksville, you were the only one jealous of Mr. Depp. Heard replied, not correct. Asked if Heard got jealous of Depp because he was not giving you attention. Heard said, incorrect again, as the temperature rose, and that was her face on the stand. I've got to work that into the thumbnail. I got a couple of ideas, but I haven't made it up yet. But yeah, no, that was the face multiple times. There was eye rolling, there was head movements, there was chin jut. If there was nobody else in that courtroom right there, she would have fought Camille. I have no doubt in my mind. She was ready to throw down or start throwing some shit at her. She was on the brink of anger. And there was one moment right after Amber stormed off the stand where Camille was going up for sidebar just before they rested their case, because Amber was the last person up there, obviously, because she had to be in order to ease her own ego. They exchanged this glance right there at the end. Yep. Anybody who has seen two feuding women before, know that glance. It was palpable. Anyways, yeah, as the temperature rose, Judge Penny as Karate, which is a fun name to say, had to issue a warning to the public gallery. She didn't independently do that. Ben Rottenborn, knowing that the gallery was like, wow, this bitch is nuts, and they were starting to audibly react to some of the testimony and some of the questioning and the obvious hatred between the two during the back and forth. They were starting to react with gasps and like, oh my God, this is going down. And it was starting to not really reflect on the jury, who was also playing along at the same time, because this is actually unfolding between us. And are these two broads going to fucking come to blows? Ben had to, stand up and object, and he said, we need an instruction to the gallery that they need to calm down, because that's inappropriate. And so yeah, they went up to the bench, and that's what the objection would have been, because he was just a big salty bitch, knowing that his case was just going up in flames. The judge said, I would ask that there be no words or sounds coming from you, speaking to the gallery. If I hear one more sound, I will clear the public gallery. They didn't after that, but no, the emotions were still running high because, well, Amber's histrionic. Heard asked about her comments on the audio recording that Depp should go to the judge and jury and claim that he was a victim of domestic abuse. She said, I find that hard to believe, knowing that he himself beat me up for 5 years. Not really. According to her, Depp only made the claim very recently when they signed their divorce. He made no mention of it. Can you believe that? Once again, just these little intimidation tactics that she's just trying to use, even to her dying day, okay? Nobody's gonna believe you, Johnny. You're a man. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell the world that you, a man, are a victim of domestic abuse. No, he was the one who beat me up, even though he's the only one. Like, you might have seen this here for a passing second. This is a picture that was taken the day after receiving and getting the temporary restraining order, where she had the big old bruise on her cheek. There was a couple of different pictures. Okay, there was another picture that was brought up again where it's zoomed in on Rocky's face and Amber's face as well. And another funny thing to point out, all of the hilarious cast of characters that Amber Heard was bringing up, literally all of them, they are all markedly and notably less attractive than Amber Heard is. I'll just let that one kind of linger in the air for a moment. Just once again, just kind of painting the picture of who Amber Heard is. But yes, no, that was taken a day after. As you can see, there's a huge bruise on her cheek or any sort of swelling that's right there. But obviously, Amber Heard had her old trusty arrow in her quiver. Oh, well, I was wearing makeup at the time. Yeah, sure thing. Smiling without any noticeable, paralysis or problems. It's just makeup. Makeup's a wonderful thing. It's fantastic. Is it also bulletproof? Not that I mean anything by that. Asked by one of her lawyers to describe the effect of Depp, she became emotional. Yeah, emotional. Spastic. Spastic's probably a better way to encapsulate it. Heard said, Johnny promised me he would ruin me. Then he would ruin my career. He'd make my life... He'd take my life from me. Wait, what? Death was the only way out, and I got out. And again, that whole death is the only way out. The only time that that's actually been written down was on a gift that you gave to Johnny Depp, the same man who was abusing you at the time. Your story, not the facts. But yeah, no, that was written on a big fucking knife. Yeah, again, I don't see this as anything but projection, but... He promised me global humiliation. You've seen the texts. Yeah, that's nice. We've seen a bunch of other texts that were just falsely attributed to Johnny as well, but that's nice. The campaigns to have me try to be fired and ruin my career. Yeah, that's nice. And again, you got paid for everything that you were in, okay? Your role wasn't reduced. It was just they were changing direction because you didn't have any chemistry with Jason Momoa. Sucks to suck, I guess. The threats he's made to humiliate me globally are being lived out in real time in front of all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, she tried to make the ladies and gentlemen argument. A little too late for that. For the past 6 weeks, the whole world was given cameras out there. Yeah, it broke down on the stand. No, again, I watched all of it and I seen none of it. So she can continue to say that, but she emulated her case. Absolutely emulated it. And it's going to take us to the end of the day. Wrapped up just before lunch, I think. Yeah. No, and I think Whitney Heard's expression just in the background there properly encapsulates the day for him. They just know that they've been fucking roasted. So now, tomorrow, this is how everything is going to work out, apparently. They're going to start again, 9 o'clock Eastern time, so wherever you're at, plan accordingly. They're going to be there. First things first, they're going to get jury instructions, which they deliberated after lunch. Okay, the courtroom had already cleared out. Okay, both of the parties had left and all that stuff. Amber to booze, Johnny's to a hero's welcome at the end of it. But they deliberated, yes, the jury instructions. And it's very funny. There was a little bit of back and forth between Rottenborn, who constantly, during the trial itself, would always refer to Adam Waldman's theoretically defamatory statements. Again, prove any of your damages or actual malice. And him saying that Amber Heard perpetuated a hoax is anywhere untrue. But he would always say, whenever there was an audience there to pay attention to it, he would always refer to those statements made by Adam Waldman as the Depp Waldman statements. But when there was no audience and the cameras he didn't think were rolling, they were just the Waldman statements. So that's something else to just, put a pin in and wait for tomorrow as well. They were also talking about another jury instruction when it came to Adam Waldman's deposition, which I thought was telling, and the coverage that I was watching, they didn't really pick up on it. But I think it is important because for Waldman's video deposition that they played, okay, on Amber Heard's case in chief, they had, 30 minutes of objections that were left in, and for any of these video depositions, the objections are always just cut out, and it's just this uninterrupted movie of varying degrees of entertainment. They left in all of the probing questions when it came to, hey, would you like to go ahead and breach your attorney-client privilege? No? Okay, cool. And then Ben Chu would say that, yeah, no, that's attorney-client privilege in so many words, whatever his preferred phrase was over the course of the 30 minutes. They deliberately, Amber Heard's team deliberately asked that to be kept in order for an inference to be made in the jury that because he wouldn't talk about those frankly objectionable questions, there was a link between Johnny Depp and Adam Waldman, which is not appropriate and can't be considered with the jury instructions. So them admitting to that, that's an underhanded tactic. It's something that I don't like. That's not really going to resonate anywhere else, but me noticing that, it just really rubbed me the wrong way. Anyways, so going back to the layout for tomorrow. So it's going to start 9 o'clock. You're going to get jury instructions. They're going to get jury instructions. It's going to be laid out like a regular trial day, except we already know what we can come to expect. So for the first hour-ish, don't really know how long As Karate's going to take in order to read out the jury instructions. They seem like they're going to be fairly comprehensive, so allow for about an hour. And then we're going to get Johnny Depp's closing argument. Their side's closing argument, so expect like an hour. Both sides get 2 hours for the two halves of their closing arguments. I'll explain a little bit more in a second here, but it's going to be Johnny Depp's side to give their closing argument. So they have 2 hours total, so expect about an hour to about an hour and a half for that, okay? And then probably at some point or another, I'd imagine it's probably going to be jury instructions, then break, and Johnny Depp's closing, and then maybe, depending on how long that takes, maybe we might get Amber Heard's side's closing before lunch. But more than likely, it'll probably be after lunch. Okay, so after lunch, come back and listen to either Elaine or Rottenborn drone on about absolute nonsense about how Johnny Depp is an abuser, even though there's a significant lack of evidence for that. It'll be funny to see what they try to spin. It'll be probably infuriating in some form or fashion. Okay, and then for their hour and a half and change or whatever, then it's probably going to be afternoon break, or maybe because it'll just be a truncated version, then you're going to get a rebuttal. You're going to get Johnny Depp's side rebuttals, and they're going to be able to refute any of the claims that were made during Amber Heard's case. Okay, so maybe you get that right afterwards, and probably the afternoon break, or maybe they'll just try to work all of this together. Then Amber Heard's side is going to get a rebuttal for the sake of their counterclaim, because remember, there's 2 cases that are on here of various degrees of success. But Amber Heard's side is unfortunately going to get the final word. But if it's Elaine, everybody's just going to be, oh, fucking just get me out of here. So on the books, it should be about 5 hours, okay, from 9 o'clock. And then, of course, with an hour and a couple of breaks, maybe a couple of breaks, maybe not. Then it's going to be sent to the jury. And here's the thing. according to some of the people, some of the lawyers, some of the more prominent YouTube lawyers that are out there, and two of them are actually in the picture right there over the shoulder of Whitney Heard. Okay, you got DUI guy, and then you got Runkle of the Bailey back there. Their read of the jury is nobody likes Amber Heard anymore. Okay, it's just all pretty much a foregone conclusion. But by the time that the jury gets the case at the end of the day, they're going to go into deliberations, but it'll probably be like 2 or 3 o'clock. And according to the judge today, okay, it doesn't sound like they're going to be sequestered over the weekend or during the time of their deliberations. They are simply going to be allowed to deliberate for as long as they want tomorrow. But they aren't going to be served dinner, okay? And also, in the United States, I know I'm Canadian-based, but I'm also aware of the fact that it's the long weekend coming up. Memorial Day will be Monday. So, according to the judge, there will be no deliberations Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, and then they're going to come back on Tuesday, theoretically fucking up more stuff, okay? So it depends on how much partying they're going to be doing, the jury this is. Over the weekend, maybe they kind of want an easy day, so maybe they'll come back and deliberate. But if everybody's all done and dusted, okay, I know me, but I'm kind of like a little bit of a different breed, but wouldn't you just kind of want to get all of this nonsense out of the way so you didn't have to come back after the long weekend? You could just go out to your parties for Memorial Day, kick off the summer right by being able to talk about everything, all the insanity that you got to see, instead of theoretically not discussing anything that goes on in the trial. Wouldn't you just want to get this out of the way, considering you're only getting paid $30 a day to be there? Because that's a jury fee for the state of Virginia. It's not great, all things considered, and you hear the different expert prices that are out there, and these guys are getting paid 5-6 figures in some form or fashion. But you guys are just, sat there discussing how many millions are going to be going back to Johnny Depp because theoretically he's winning this case. All they need to do is just figure out how many zeros are going to be at the end of that check that's Elon Musk is going to end up paying, or the ACLU, right? So yeah, that's the way that tomorrow is going to shake up, okay? Because today, thanks to this little firecracker here, it was absolutely devastating. Whitney Heard's face tells the fucking tale. Well, I guess Easter Island head. Maybe that's what they were trying to buy with their $100 million counter lawsuit. Anyways, no. Camille left the defense with a rotten taste in their mouth, and coincidentally, that's going to be one of the guys who's going to be delivering closing. So, just a little recap. Today was a quintessential fire for Amber Heard. You had the opportunity to rebut competently literally anything that was presented, because the judge wasn't all that concerned about your rebuttal, just keeping it within the scope of the counterclaim. So you could have rebutted just about anything with any of the experts that you brought up, but instead you brought an incredibly forgettable data expert, the least likable human being not named Amber Heard, and then you closed out your case with Amber Heard. I understand she is a domineering presence on the legal team, but the fact that you acquiesce to that and you still think that you have a chance, you're frankly should be considering delivering your closing arguments with a noticeable limp and a helmet. That might help you out. So yeah, today was, maybe go back and watch some of it. It's only half a day, especially Camille just roasting, absolutely roasting, being the last thing that everybody remembers. And then tomorrow, jury instructions, Johnny Depp closing, Amber Heard closing, Johnny Depp rebuttal, Amber Heard rebuttal, jury selection, figuring out who the two alternates are going to be, send it off to the kids to decide. So we might get a verdict tomorrow, maybe, if all the jury is shaken out the way that they're going to, or could be on jury watch. Won't be back until Tuesday. And if that's the case, I got some ideas of some stuff that I want to, cover, okay, like some of the most memorable witnesses, probably what the jury's going to be thinking about, who at least left an impression in the back of their mind. Or if everything's all done and dusted, there'll be 4 videos tomorrow, because I'm obviously going to be covering the closings and all of the shenanigans, because I can expect a lot. The defense side is going to be trying to push really hard. We'll see how much shit they try to get away with. It should be fairly fluid, and the jury should have a few hours to decide things, but they can go as long as they want on Friday. There's just no dinner served, so expect at the latest 7 o'clock. Okay, 7 o'clock deliberations, wherever you are, plan accordingly. That's Eastern time. More than likely, they'll be done somewhere around 6 o'clock, but you can always expect a verdict. Don't anticipate it until maybe in on or around lunchtime on Tuesday. I don't know. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.